One of the most common questions I receive is, how do I start and grow my clothing brand? Look, with the rise of companies like Printful, where you literally can start a t-shirt brand with no money, there's so much noise in the marketplace and millions of people are trying to start their own brand. So how do you stand out and grow a viable business? Now in this video, we're gonna talk about it because the answer may not be what you think. We're gonna go over 3 things that I think everyone should understand before they launch and grow their clothing brand. If you're new to the channel, my name is Devin Lars, and for the past 15 years, I've been in the branding, merchandising, and advertising business. I run an agency called Curio, where we work with some of the biggest brands in the world to help tell their story on and offline. If you want to see some of our work from our agency, you can click the link in the description below. So I'm excited to start this new raw and uncut series. I want to create these videos as nothing. This isn't gonna be super fancy. There's not gonna be a bunch of editing. It's not gonna be a bunch of music, a bunch of things popping up. This is just gonna be a raw, uncut kind of documentation of the process of doing everything different. Now, I started this brand in 2008 with the concept of being able to use it to build relationships, to be able to test out ideas, and to be able to just get, my creative ideas out there into the world. And there's been a lot of stuff that I've learned around building this brand and around doing different releases and launches, using this as a tool to kind of, like I said, test out those ideas and then also build our agency, right? Using this as lead generation to be able to build relationships with people to then get accounts to help them grow and establish their brands. We work with some of the biggest brands. We do a lot of merchandising and product for Tesla, for Nike, for the Warriors, for Starbucks, for a lot of different big retail brands, and then also people that are starting brands and stuff like that. So I think with this series, I'm really excited to just upload and show the process of what we've done and kind of what we've learned and step by step. We kind of took a step back and really been focused on the agency side of things, Curio, and working with our clients and stuff like that. And so I'm really excited to relaunch doing everything different and kind of use this as a tool to showcase how do you create a brand in the modern world, right? Using technology, using social media, being able to story tell, different things of that nature. So I really wanted to create this kind of series that is going to go into the process of everything, right? How do we structure everything? How do we structure our content? How do we structure our releases? How do we structure our sampling? How do we do production? How do we take inventory and do build relationships? How do we do online, set up the online store and do fulfillment? Literally walk you guys through step by step the entire process. So super excited about this series. Some of this stuff isn't gonna be for everybody, right? This is just I'm literally doing this to speak to my experience and the things that I've learned, so you can take the things that apply to your situation and be able to build on it and be able to grow it from there. I literally just wanted to make these videos as like a younger version of myself, of like, what does a younger Devin need to know, and what is the process that he would need to see. And so that's what's going to be in these videos. So the 3 things that we're going to cover in this video that I think is very important, everybody should know, no matter where you are in the process of building, growing, starting, launching your brand, or just business in general, right? So I think number 1 is, what does your brand mean, right? A lot of people think that they just kind of go with trends and they just kind of go with whatever, is popping right now, which is cool, right? There's a model for that. But again, I'm going to talk to my experience and thinking about, okay, having a brand that actually represents something and means something. Then we're going to talk about, what is your business model? I think this is where a lot of people get confused, where they think that they have to have everything and all their source of income from product sales, right? And the actual brand and the clothing, which is cool if people want to just do a clothing brand. But I think with so much noise, with so many options out there, with so many other people that want to do brands, and especially if you're only doing like t-shirts and hoodies and imprinting stuff, you're not actually doing cut and sew, it's kind of hard to separate yourself from the crowd. So thinking about your business model, how do you set up a structure where you're not just making money from the product, but you're able to build out multiple streams of revenue and things kind of work with each other. So we're going to go over that. And then the third thing is going to be building a team. The importance of building a team. I mean, it's a cliche where they say teamwork makes the dream work, and it couldn't be more true. I'm going to talk about my experience and how we went from just kind of doing it myself to then establishing a full team and being able to build it. And I was always curious of why I kept hitting a certain level of success, trying to do everything by myself. And it wasn't until I was able to really trust and build a team that I was able to go to the next level. So those are the 3 things we're going to cover. So let's jump right into it. So number 1, what does your brand mean? I think this is a very important topic because there's again so much noise out there nowadays, right? Everybody has a brand, everybody's starting a brand, everybody wants to have a brand. And I think that there are a lot of opportunities now with social media, right? Because of technology, because it is so easy to start a brand. I think that there's a lot of competition, but then there's also a lot of opportunity. And I think the opportunity comes from being able to find out what and who your brand represents, right? What does your brand mean, right? What is the connection? What is the meaning behind your product and what it is? Because I think that there's a lot of things that people do where they get in and they want to just start this t-shirt brand, or they want to start this clothing brand, or they want to do, cut and sew product, whatever it is. And they don't really understand their niche. They don't understand where they fit in the marketplace. They don't understand what their story is. They're just kind of copying what other people are doing, right? Finding something that somebody's doing that's working for them and then being able to copy that. The only problem with doing that is you'll always end up late because you're copying somebody that produced an idea that's already out. So they're on to the next thing. And so you're going to constantly having to play this chase game of like trying to chase and find the new trend of what's hot. And so I think that, while some of that stuff is good in terms of trends of like maybe, the cut of hoodies or the cut of t-shirts, back in the day in, 2007, 2008, it was these big wide cut jeans, right? And these long, big old shirts. And now it's evolved into more tapered fitted clothes. So thinking about that in terms of like how you need to adjust with the trends of what happens is very important. But then also keeping in mind of like, okay, what does your brand ethos mean? What does your brand represent? Who is the audience that it represents? I think that's very important to find that out. And I think that comes with who the founder is, right? Who is the creator? Who are you that is creating the brand? And what do you represent? What do you stand for? What are your interests? I think that now with the way that the internet is all and social media is all segmented, you can find an audience and a niche audience that represents your tribe and what you mean and who you are. And I think that that's very important to identify who that audience is and to create content and to create stuff that is relevant to that audience. Back in the day, before there was like, you had to do TV ads and you had to do print ads and you had to do all this stuff to cast out a wide net, and you couldn't really get like super hyper focused on a niche or a group. But now with social media, you really can. You can build out an audience, you can build out a community, you can build out something that represents this idea of whatever your concept of your brand is. And then these products are just extensions of that idea, right? So I think that is so important to think about that. Sometimes, we think when we're starting a brand that a brand is just, just product or whatever, designs and things of that nature. But if you can start really thinking about what does my brand mean? What is the idea? And these products and these releases and the content are just literally extensions of this main big idea. So for us doing everything different, it's all about accomplishing goals. It's all about trying something different. It's all about achieving things. It's all about finding that, okay, this didn't work, so let me readjust it and try it again to see if it works. So that's the idea, right? That's the big idea, the overview of that. And so everything and all the products that we want to create and put together is extensions of those ideas. And as we go through this series, I'm going to kind of break it down as we start designing our collections, as we start designing our content, as we start putting together our commercials, and as we start putting together different pieces that represent the brand. I'm going to show you guys step by step of what I mean and why this is like, this concept. We chose this concept and why it represents this idea. And I'm gonna break it down so you can see it in real time. So these are just some concepts that I want you guys to start thinking about and wrapping your head as we start going through this series. And as you start, growing and launching your brand, is what is that main idea? And how do you create an extension of that through the products and content that you put out? The cool thing about product is, and that's what we're going to get into this next section, or number 2 of like setting up your business model. The product is just that extension of your idea. Think of it as just marketing, right? It's just marketing. So not necessarily like you have to make money from the product sales, right? You don't have to make a profit necessarily from the product sales, and that's where you get all of your money and your income from. So as we start going into this next section and talking about your business model, start thinking about the product as just, like I said, an extension of your idea. And for somebody to be able to take that idea that you create content online and to be able to take it with them so they can wear it. And this is an extension of that concept and idea that you're building. So I think that's why it's so important, at least for us, to create something that has some meaning, right? You wear a Nike product, you feel a certain way, you feel like an athlete, even if you're not an athlete, right? You have these different, you wear Louis Vuitton or some of these designer Off-White or whatever, and you feel like, oh, I'm, it's a status symbol. So there's these ideas that these brands and concepts that they represent. And so for us, again, this content is just going to be around speaking for us and through our experience and kind of what we found that works for us. It may be different for you. But I really think that finding that meaning and finding that pillar piece of what is our philosophy and what do we mean, and then being able to create that content and products around that is very important. There's a couple different things. There's one video that I've mentioned this video before, but I'll link it down in the description, about this guy named Sinek. And he talks about I want to say it's the golden circle. I haven't watched it in a while, but essentially you have like these three circles, right? You have this inner dot circle, you have the wider circle, and you have the outside circle. So you have the why, the what, and the how, or it might be vice versa. I just know in the center of the circle, it's the why. And so companies like Nike, Apple, these big brands, they communicate why before they talk about what they do or how they do it, right? They don't talk about their computer and the speed and all that stuff. All of their marketing, especially in the beginning, was about why they do what they do, who this represents, who wears this product, who represents this brand. The why is going to be very, very important. So it's a really cool video to watch. Like I said, I'll link it down in the description. So if you guys are interested, I think it's really helpful to just kind of like start thinking about your brand in a different perspective and like, okay, where do I want to set this up and what does my brand mean and how do I want to find that core audience and then be able to build that out. I think another thing too is building out audience profiles, like your customer profiles. I may cover that later on down the line once we start getting into marketing and running our ads and stuff like that I take you guys with me. But audience profiles are very helpful because it helps you identify and know who that person is. So looking at their age demographic, looking at their interests, looking at what other brands they like, who they follow on social media, just what they're interested in, because being able to take that information and put it all in one place will allow you then to say, okay, cool, how are we going to create content that's going to be relevant to this person and that this person is going to be interested in. And like I said before, a lot of the stuff, especially in the beginning, you need to create stuff that you're interested in. Because chances are, if you're interested in it, there's a bunch of people out there that are interested in it as well. And you know what interests you, right? You know what is going to interest you and what you would click on. So the content and the stuff that we create is just literally, that's why I said this video is like for a younger version of myself. I don't know who's going to watch this. I don't know who it is, but I'm just making this for a younger version of Devin that needs to see this. I want to create that and create around that. And same thing that we're doing everything different. We wanted to create this concept and this lifestyle and put together people that are trying to progress in life and wanting to start stuff. Somebody that is not just going to take the status quo, that's building, not necessarily just a business, but growing anything, wanting to become better, whether that's in your career, whether that's in your business, whether that's your personal life, whatever it is, you want to be better. And so that's our idea and that's what we represent. All right, number 2. Setting up your business model. Now, it's not always what you think. So previously I talked about how, your product is an extension of you, and your product is an extension of this idea, and you don't necessarily need to make money off of the product. Now, let me explain what I mean. When we started doing everything different, yeah, we wanted to start a clothing brand. But we also had an agency where we provided different screen printing services, marketing services, campaigns for other clients and other businesses. So the way that we looked at it is, okay, we don't necessarily need to make all of our money from the clothing brand, which allowed us to have the freedom to have another source of revenue and income, to not just solely rely on doing everything different, which allowed us to be creative and not worry about making money from the actual brand. So the way that this is kind of how we've set it up for us personally is that we have 2 parts, right? We have our agency where we do, work with some of the biggest brands, small brands, different things of that nature. And then we have our brand, which is like a way that we can, number one, it's just like a passion project of mine that I love to be able to express myself creatively and have these ideas and turn these ideas into reality. But then it also allows us to have an extension of that idea. It allows us to build relationships. We've gotten so many clients for our agency because we had doing everything different, and we've given doing everything different product to our potential clients that we wanted to work with. So we literally were able to create a brand that people liked. We were able to use it as an extension of us and a marketing tool, right? Those products that you have are a marketing tool of whenever somebody wears it and they see it, they're going to think, oh, Devin gave this to me, I need to reach out to him. Or if there's a project that comes up and they happen to have a hoodie on, it's just a constant subliminal reminder to stay on people's minds. So instead of just doing the standard, company swag with your company logo on it and just some like regular boring stuff that other agencies do, we said, how do we create our in-house brand that allows us to be able to have an extension of our voice and have a really dope message around it that people could connect to, that we're able to build relationships with, we're able to start conversations with, and we're able to use this as a tool to test out ideas and use this as a portfolio piece, right? So everything that we're doing everything different is going to help our agency, because now what we're going to do is all the processes that we build, from content creation to podcast to product to retail side of things, all of that stuff is going to be services that we're going to be able to provide for our clients, essentially, right? And we can use this as a portfolio piece to show our true creativity. When you're working with clients, it's a little difficult because sometimes they're not as open to creative ideas. They're kind of locked in a box. And so with this is going to allow us to really solely express our creativity and to be able to build with them. So I think that like having these multiple streams of businesses and these multiple ideas, there's pros and cons to it, right? And so I'll be honest with you. In the beginning, there was a lot of cons because it was like we were doing all these different things. We were trying to like doing everything different. I was doing like public speaking and doing like workshops with students, high school students, which was another passion of mine, because I was just sharing my story of how we've been able to work with some of these biggest brands and artists and stuff like that, and how we've been able to build a business with no business background. That was like a real passion of mine. Then we were doing the screen printing and doing everything, all of our screen printing in-house. We built out our whole manufacturing facility. So we were doing all these things, and this was like in my early 20s, well, throughout my whole 20s. And during that time, a lot of people were saying like, you're doing too much. You're like focused on so many different things. What are you doing? You need to have one single focus, which I think that a single focus is important. But then I also think about diversifying your ideas into multiple buckets in the long run is better, because it allowed me to test out to see what I was good at. It allowed me to stay creative in ways and allowed me to like test out ideas. I have ADD, so I can't like focus on one thing for too long. I need to have this like creative stimulation from other places. So this allowed me to kind of build all of it out. And then the crazy part is it all connected together, right? So the speaking, I was able to talk about my story and promote doing everything different, which was the product side. And then for the product side, we were able to give sell more shirts and sell product. And then we were also able to give packages to people that we wanted to work with, and then in turn built a relationship to get their business from for the agency. So now thinking back in hindsight, it all made sense that it all connected, and everything that I'm doing is in different categories, but they all work together. And so I think that like that was a lot of the cons in the beginning. It was just like, it looked like I was all over the place and I didn't have one single focus, which means that it took longer to build this entire kind of empire versus just focusing on one thing and building that up and then moving over to the next thing. This may not work for you. This may not be a good strategy for you. You may just want to focus on one thing. You may just want to focus on the clothing brand, which is totally fine. I mean, this is your business. You create it however you want. Again, these are just experiences of mine that have worked for me, that I've been able to build, that I've seen worked. And in retrospect, it's worked really well to be able to have these three kind of buckets to be able to pull in from our agency service side of things, where my team creates and campaigns and stuff, the speaking that allows us to build relationships. The whole reason why we got the Starbucks account is from speaking. I went to a youth event, I spoke, I met somebody there that worked at Starbucks. He got us in with the BPN. We started building a relationship with the BPN, Black Partner Network. We were working with them for 2.5 years. 2.5 years later, we're doing 250,000 shirts for every single employee in the US and Canada. If I never would have spoke, if I didn't go to that event and I didn't speak at that event, I didn't get paid. It was just a youth event that I just like doing. But if I didn't speak at that event, I wouldn't have met Fred, who wouldn't have got me into Starbucks, who wouldn't have got us this account for our agency, right? The way that we got Tesla is we started building a relationship, and we reached out to them, and they met us. We went in there and we started a cool relationship. But then they seen what we were doing in terms of the speaking, and then they liked the doing everything different product. So we gave them a bunch of doing everything different stuff to allow us to build the relationship, because after that first initial conversation, there was nothing else that we can build a relationship on. It was just kind of like, oh, hey, can we put an order in? There was nothing that we can do to provide them to give them value. But since they liked the brand, we were able to open and keep that conversation, which then in turn got us the Tesla account, where we were doing all of the product for the Tesla employees in the factory, all the aprons, the t-shirts, 30,000 units. Like it was a crazy way that we were able to build that. So that goes to show you how all of these things connect, right? The doing everything different brand got us into Tesla, the speaking got us into Starbucks, building the relationship on the agency side has gotten into us, us with a bunch of stuff. The reason why we were able to build a relationship with a lot of these celebrities is because we offered people screen printing services that allowed us to build a relationship to then get our brand in there. So as you can see and illustrate it, or how I'm trying to illustrate it, is that everything connects together for us, and it works really well. So like I said, your business model might not be what you think. Don't just think so short term and just think about just one-sided of just, oh, I just sell t-shirts or I just sell a brand. What can you build that connects everything together, right? What can you do that like brings multiple things that can work together but work separately and individually, but they all kind of cross and build together? And so those were the things that I think have been helpful for me, and that I think that like if you guys start thinking that, it could be a little different of how you structure your business and how you structure your brand and what you're building. All right, and number 3, I want to talk about building a team and why it is so important. One of my biggest challenges in business has been delegation, right? In the beginning, starting off building a business, you don't have much money, of course. You don't have a team. You don't have a lot of resources. You don't have stuff. So in the beginning, you have to do a lot of these things by yourself, which I think is great. I think it's really good to have to do all of these different things and these departments by yourself in the beginning to understand kind of the concept of it. So what I did in the beginning is I had to do every single department. So you know how I talked about we had the different divisions, right? We have the agency side where we're doing so many different pieces and moving pieces with the agency, with our manufacturing facility, all of that stuff. Then I had the speaking, then we had the doing everything different. So I had to play every single role. I had to wear so many different hats, from designer to pre-production preparation to screen printing, to setting up the screens, to shipping, to invoicing, to customer service, to marketing, to building relationships with the influencers, with customer service and dealing with returns and putting out fires, to quoting people. So many different things. I'm not going to get into all of the stuff that I had to do, but I had to learn all these things before I had an actual team. So as I was building out this business, I started to get into the habit of just doing the things and getting it done. So like, even if I had somebody on my team, I would say, instead of taking the time to train them on how to do something, it would just be faster if I do it myself. So I got into this rut of like trying to do everything myself. And then it was starting to get to a point where it was like so much stuff that I was taking on that I had a team around me, a team of people around me that were more than capable, but I was trying to take on too much myself because, number one, I think I felt guilty asking somebody from my team to do some work. So I was like always in the mindset of like, oh, I need to lead by example. I need to be able to do it. I can't ask them to do something I'm not willing to do. That was a mindset that I had. And so as I was starting to do all this stuff, I realized like I'm only reaching a certain level of success because I'm trying to take everything on myself. And I had trouble asking my team for help, even though my team was here and they were like, hey, how can I support? And so I think that what was a real breakthrough for me was I had a conversation with my mom, and I was just telling her, I'm like, I just kept hitting a certain level of success, and I just realized, I'm like, man, I was kind of going back and forth and going through that imposter, or what is it, imposter syndrome, whatever it is, to thinking of like that I'm a terrible entrepreneur, I'm not made for this, I'm not built for this. This is like, as an entrepreneur, you go through these things, right? You go through these extreme ups where you're just on the top of the moon, and then you go down to these really, really down lows where you're just like, I suck, and this just isn't working. And I was just in one of these spaces where I was just like, I suck at this. And then I had to start realizing, me and my mom were talking, and she said, well, why don't you, the problem is just delegation. You have a team, you handpicked your team, your team is more than capable to execute on this stuff. Why? You need to delegate. You need to get better at delegating. So she told me to go get some sticky notes, right? You get some sticky notes and write delegate on it and stick it all over the house. So I literally wrote delegate on, I want to say 30 Post-it notes, and I stuck one on my refrigerator door. I stuck one inside the refrigerator door. I stuck one by the coffee maker, by the front door where you go and leave, to my window, my bathroom, on my computer, on the printer. I literally had 20 to 30 sticky notes that just said delegate all through the house, because I realized that it wasn't that I didn't know how to delegate. It was just that I didn't think about it top of mind. Like, it wasn't like my first initial response of like, oh, I need to delegate this to my team. My first initial response is like, oh, I just need to do it. And I think that with seeing these stickers and these delegate stickers everywhere, it really helped me, because it allowed me to kind of like see that everywhere. And so I started to remember delegate. So now when I'm on the phone with somebody and a client needs something, I'm looking down and I see the delegate sticker, and I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, I could get Nick to do that. Let me call Nick and CC him and loop him in there. Or I could get Mike to do this. I could get Sheena to do this. Like, how do I loop all of this stuff in? And that was like a game changer for me. I swear to God, as soon as I did that and I started to get into the habit of delegating and understanding that I don't need to feel guilty about not doing this. It's not about feeling guilty and saying that, oh, if I can't do this, I'm not asking my team about it. It's not that I can't do it. It's that I need to be doing something else, and somebody from my team should be doing that, right? And I need to be focused on something different, something that I can't delegate, and something that I can't pass on to the team. And once I started getting that philosophy and that concept down of like, oh, this is how teamwork works. Like, your team, that's why you have a team, right? To focus on these different departments and different things that you can build out, and then you can focus on the things that you can't delegate. There's certain things that I can't delegate. I can't delegate making these videos. I can't delegate building the relationships that I'm doing. So I need to focus all my time on the stuff that I cannot delegate and utilize my team and delegate to them. Now, I know a lot of you guys may not be in the situation to have a team right now or to be able to build it out, but I think there's a lot of things that you can do as you start to build out your team, thinking about this, of delegating and stuff like that. But I think now with technology, there's a lot of stuff where you can have freelancers, you can have people that can help you with this stuff, finding a team and building a team, finding people that you trust. One thing that I am very adamant about, that I told my COO and I told the whole team in general, is that I don't care how skilled you are, I don't care how good you are, I don't care how talented you are. If you're not a nice person, if you're like an asshole to work with, if you are a difficult person, if you are not a team player, if any of those, no matter how talented, skilled, whatever you are, you're not going to be on this team. That's just one thing. That's one thing that I just am not. I don't want to build a team of. I want to build a team of nice people. Good people, nice people, thoughtful people. And I think that is so important as for me, I found, to build this out, of people that you actually want to work with, right? People that you actually respect, people that actually respect you, people that actually respect your clients, people that actually have integrity, people that actually do the right thing, people that actually are able to, that you can trust do stuff. And granted, our team is very small, right? It's about 20 of us. So it's not like we don't have like a super big team, right? Some people have thousands and thousands of employees. And I know that must change. And I know it changes once you start getting couple hundred employees. But the good thing about creating a business is you get to build the business that you want to build, right? I don't want to necessarily have a team of 1,000 people. That's not what I want to build. I want to have a really core dope team, right, that I like working with, people that I enjoy working with and talking with and doing projects with and executing stuff and accomplishing things. And that's how you have to start thinking as you start building out the business. This is your business. What life do you want? What lifestyle do you want? What type of business do you want? You get to create this. That's such the dope thing about building a business, is that you create what you want. And I think it's just been such a blessing for me to have like the team that I have. We couldn't have accomplished anything without my team. Like I said, I kept hitting this level of success, and it wasn't where I seen everything because I was trying to do everything myself. But as soon as I really took the concept of, I need to delegate and trust my team, that's why I hired them, to be able to execute on this stuff and trust that they're going to get it done. It's changed everything. It's truly changed everything for us. And I think the way that we just stay on the same page is we have Monday meetings, right? We meet every Monday, my team, and we have an all hands meeting, and we just go over our projects and just make sure that we stay on track. And so it's definitely been a different learning experience of like, okay, managing a team versus doing the work. It's a different skill that you have to acquire. And I feel that I'm still building that out, and I'm trying to become the best leader I can in terms of, trying to lead a team. But I think it's just dope, man. You guys are you have to understand, like, you guys are building something, and it's not going to be easy. This stuff is going to be hard. I mean, I've been literally doing this since 2005. Since late 2005, I've been in business trying to figure all this stuff out. So it's been a long time. It's almost been 16 years of just figuring stuff out and messing up and learning and getting better and repeating the same mistakes and getting frustrated with myself. And like, so just know that it's like, it's not going to be easy, right? It's just not. But one thing I can tell you, it's going to be worth it. As long as you don't give up, as long as you actually are built for this and you're not being delusional and thinking that you're an entrepreneur when you really should be a number 2 or 3, or find an entrepreneur that you need to work with. I think that it's an amazing feeling, and I think you should find what you're good at. I think you should, think about what it is that you want to do and how you want to build that out. And so that's really where we're at for this. And I hope those 3 principles were helpful. I hope you got some takeaways. Again, take this with a grain of salt. You may find 1 or 2 things that will work for your situation. Take it, apply it, try it, discard the rest. And then be able to build that out. So I want to talk about coming up next. So next week, I'm really excited about what we have going on. So next week, we want to take a deep dive into basically setting up your line sheets, right? So we have our new collection that is coming out. So we're going to go over how we set all this stuff up. So we have like custom poly mailers. We have some poly bags that we're getting ready to put in. We have some new products. We have some cut and sew pieces with hats that we're gonna go over our line sheets and how we set all of this stuff up. We're gonna talk about how you can go through and get custom tags and labels, vetting vendors, and then also sampling. So we're gonna talk about setting up your line sheets, vetting vendors, and sampling next week. And we're going to show you this new collection that we're working on, how we're building it out, and the whole entire process of what we're going through to be able to turn this idea into reality. And what I like about these videos is it's going to be raw and uncut, behind the scenes. You guys are going to see step by step of like kind of how it's made, and see behind the scenes, and then all on the Doing Everything Different channels from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You're going to see the final product. So my page, you're going to see the behind the scenes, rough, raw, how was it built? And then on the Doing Everything Different pages, you're going to see the final products, how it's all done with photo shoots, videos, everything like that. So super excited to take you guys along with me on this journey. If you found this video and you're looking forward to this series or want to stay up to date with the videos, make sure to turn the bell notifications on, make sure to subscribe, and leave a comment. I love feedback to see what you guys are thinking, how you guys are liking the content. That helps me shape and make sure that I cover different topics and things of that nature. So yeah, super excited to have you guys with me. And until next week, I will see you. Peace.